This is K12 Tech Talk. K12 Tech Talk. The podcast by K12 Techs for K12 Techs. Real conversations, real arguments, and real banter on trending K12 technology topics and issues.
This is K12 Tech Talk. My name is Chris, coming to you live at the CoSN 2024 conference here in beautiful Miami. To my left and to my right are empty seats because Josh and Mark are not yet here. I'm excited to be here. They are on the way. I think they sent me ahead just to make me set up the table, the recording equipment, the headphones, the microphones, the banner, all that good stuff. They bailed on me to make me do all the hard labor, just like always. But anyway, we're excited to be here at CoSN 2024. We're going to be hanging out, hopefully, with listeners and also with some folks that work at CoSN, work with CoSN. I'm excited. Guys, are you excited? Oh, yeah. You're not here yet. Anyway, should be a good time. Looking forward to it. All right, so I have with me, I've talked her into sitting down with me, is Susan. Susan, how's it going?
It's going great, Chris. How are you?
Good. I'm getting settled in. It's a beautiful day outside, but
Yes,
we've been kind of stuck inside so far today.
It's a beautiful day inside,
So
too.
I've heard a couple of things about you,
Okay.
and you can tell me if this is right or wrong. You are doing a keynote,
I am.
and you're a great leader. Do you agree with that, or are you humble about that? Probably.
Depends on who
but-
you ask.
Okay.
How about I've been doing it a long time, so
Okay.
I've learned a lot of good lessons.
Would you talk about that for a few minutes?
Sure.
Where you're from and what you're doing now?
Yeah, so I am originally from the San Francisco Bay Area. I started my career in education as a high school English, ELL, and journalism teacher.
Okay.
And then I always joke and say that I lost my way and found myself in the superintendency.
Right.
But I started my career in district leadership in Portland Public Schools.
Okay.
Then I went to Evergreen in Vancouver, then Seattle, and then served as the superintendent in Highline Public Schools
Okay.
for 10 years. Highline is just south of Seattle. And most recently, I served as the superintendent for the Washoe County School District in Reno, Nevada. And now I am out on my own.
Awesome.
Mhm.
So I can pick up one thing already. So you used to be a teacher.
Yes.
So you lived in those trenches.
Yes.
That typically does make for a good leader that can remember where you came from, kind of thing. Would you talk about your keynote today? And I know it does involve leadership, I believe.
Mhm.
Would you just speak to that some?
Yeah. So I think all great leaders are always learners.
Yeah.
And so as a whether I was a superintendent or another district leader, when making decisions, I would always try to put myself in the shoes of teachers and staff in schools to really figure out what will the impact of this decision be. The focus of my talk today is really about, every leader matters. And it doesn't matter what title you hold, what place you have in the organization. You have an opportunity to lead and impact the lives of kids, and you need to seize that opportunity.
Yes.
Because our kids are relying on us as the adults to get smarter and better at this work. And we need to do that together. I think leadership is a team sport. And
Yes.
we all get better when we do the work together versus in isolation.
Awesome. Is this your first time at CoSN? Have you been a CoSN member for a long time?
I have been to CoSN for several years now, and I love coming here because the focus is not on superintendents. It's
Yes.
on the really smart people who really help our district stay on the cutting edge of what technology can do to benefit the lives of kids and staff alike. And so I always come away having learned something, and I always enjoy seeing my CoSN people.
Yeah. Awesome.
Mhm.
All right. Well, I hope that you have a great day today, and
Thanks,
thank you
Chris.
for stopping by.
Thank you.
Look what the cat drug in.
Yep, I'm finally here.
Like you got here, and then I was talking to you, and I was in the middle of a sentence, and then you just left and went to a session.
You weren't in the middle of a sentence. Who are we kidding?
What did you just took on some kind of session?
I went to a session about after action reports and going through documentation and everything after an incident. And hopefully we'll have one of those gentlemen later on today to come by and record with us.
That has already, made my head spin a little bit. We often talk about doing a lot of preparation, like to prevent the event
Yes.
or what we're going to do during the event,
Yes.
but not so much the after.
And that's why I found it interesting and would like to talk to him because, the interviews that we've done have all been about events. Very few of them have really touched on or gotten into, how detailed are your notes, and can you go back and look at your notes and draw a judgment of, okay, did it take us this long to find this incident because was the tool not working, or were my people not trained on how to use the tool? And I thought that was a great point. And they made some other really cool points about sharing attack vectors, not just the attack. So, it is kind of uncommon for a school to come out and say they've been breached or had an attack, whatever. But their point was schools can do a better job of sharing the constant attacks that they're seeing. And I know you and I share, our schools in our area share pretty well about phishes that are being seen. But what I really haven't seen that often is sharing like firewall pokes.
Correct.
Or different vectors hitting firewalls. So that was another interesting point that they made. So a lot of it revolved around PR, because PR and communications is going to be heavily involved in an after action report about sharing content with outside people, media, parents, employees. Yeah, it was a really good session.
Cool. Well, we are told that Mark is on a plane.
Yes.
Maybe in a couple hours we're going to see him.
Yeah, we'll probably see him about 2:00, and then he'll turn around and go home tomorrow morning.
He just came for dinner.
Yeah, because he heard you were paying.
Do you remember last year when Eric...
No, I wasn't here last year.
I know, but Eric wanted to go see Vance Joy with me.
Yes.
Eric, the intern.
Yes.
And then he bought Vance Joy tickets 2 times.
Yes.
Because he bought it for the day before.
Yes, and I texted you last night. My hotel room overlooks the CoSN Center, and guess who's playing the CoSN Center tonight?
Life is a mystery.
Madonna. My wife is all excited. I told her you were getting tickets to Madonna.
I don't know. That's like next level. But there is...
Like a Virgin. We need to sing we'll practice Like a Virgin, and we'll sing it.
When Mark walks up?
Yeah, when Mark... Well, no, I mean for the podcast. Yeah.
Okay.
Touched for the very first time.
Okay. But anyway, there is a reason why Eric the intern isn't at this conference, because he spent too much money last year.
Yeah, that makes sense. And we're in Miami.
And it is beautiful.
It is beautiful. I spent some time on South Beach last night with my wife, and that's a great people watching area if you've never been to South Beach.
I like it.
All right. We'll check back in later. Thanks. All right. We are here with Richard. Richard, what organization
we
are you
found
with?
an actual guest.
Yeah. It's not just us talking. Yeah.
I'm so honored.
You're our first one today. What organization are you with, and what are you doing here at CoSN?
Yeah, so I lead ISTE and ASCD.
Oh, okay.
And excited to be here at CoSN, mostly to catch up with a bunch of people I haven't seen in a while. And so it's been great to see what's going on, hear from leaders out in the schools about what they're doing that's awesome, what they're struggling with. It's a great chance to just catch up with everybody.
So what's ISTE's relationship with CoSN like? You guys kind of go hand in hand. You're two different organizations that schools belong to. You have a massive conference, right? So give us a little bit of idea of what that relationship's like, and what does ISTE do different than what CoSN does?
Sure. So ISTE and CoSN have been collaborators and partners for many years. We are really focused on the learning moment, the instructional side of learning, and so of technology. And so how can technology support amazing learning? How can technology really help advance what we know to be really sound learning practices? And so that's really the side that we focus on. We're working with teachers and academic leaders on transforming the learning moment. Now, none of that can happen if we don't have effective, working, safe, secure,
right,
private infrastructure.
Sure.
And, from the device through the connectivity at school, at home, all of those issues, we are highly dependent on that side working well, being reliable. And that's really why it's so critical that CoSN is part of the picture for us, because if the people here that are part of the CoSN world can really make sure that infrastructure is available, it's a prerequisite for any of the work that we're going to do.
Sure. Absolutely.
If you could talk about, so this is not your first time at CoSN.
Correct.
What is it about this conference that makes it special, that makes it stick out? Why do you like being here? You kind of touched on that. You like hanging out with leaders, but is there anything else?
I mean, I'll say two things. One is it's a bit like coming to a family reunion.
Okay.
I love coming back and seeing, friends and family that you don't get to see all the time, but are really doing amazing work. And you don't get to see them because they're so busy doing amazing work. And so this is a kind of special moment where you actually have a chance to catch up with people who are running 100 miles an hour at warp speed, as the theme of the conference is, right? Running so fast that sometimes you don't have a moment to just catch up. So that's really awesome. The second thing that I would say is it's really critical, even though our team's focus, again, is on the learning experience. If we don't understand the issues that are really happening in terms of providing the infrastructure, the network, the technology, we can make decisions that are not as informed as they should be. And so it's really important for me to walk away understanding what are the realities, what are the issues that our heads of technology are dealing with, so that we can make sure we're supporting that work from the instructional side.
Interesting.
Yeah, awesome.
What are some of the trends that you're seeing at ISTE in education? I don't know if you've heard of this thing called AI or not, but that might be a big thing.
Yeah, I've heard of it.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Trendy.
I actually jokingly say there's a federal regulation that says no group of educators of more than 25 can be gathered for more than 10 minutes without talking about AI. So that's we adhere to that strictly here and elsewhere. So. Yeah, so clearly AI is a trend that we're seeing. We're actually trying to shift the trend on AI a little bit. A lot of the conversation around AI is very much like, how can we use AI to teach math better? How can we use AI to give feedback faster on student writing? And that's fine. I mean, that's fine. I'm much more interested in what is schools' responsibility in preparing young people to thrive in an AI world. So far less about can it help you divide fractions better, and far more about what does it mean to graduate and work on a team where not all members of your team are human.
Right.
What does it mean to use AI as a brainstorming partner? Because AI, it turns out, is far better than humans at generating lots of ideas.
Yeah.
And humans, it turns out, are far better than AI at discerning what the right ones are, the good ones are, right? But that's a skill. That's a skill that at the moment we're not really teaching. And so really our push is to say, how do we get ahead of preparing young people? How do we help schools get ahead of preparing young people to be the future learners and leaders in an AI world? That to me is far more important than even using it to help with a particular teaching concept. Yeah.
And it's all about those prompts, right? The more detail you can give the prompt, or the more prompts that you can give the AI tool, the better the result will be. And it's about teaching those kids how to prompt.
Sure, prompt is one piece of it, but remember, there's a whole bunch of types of AI, right? So using a text generating AI is just one piece.
Sure.
There's image and video AI. So how are we using images to convey complex ideas to one another? How are we helping kids actually design their own AI? So there's lots of tools now that make it fairly simple to build your own AI bots, right? But if we aren't preparing kids on how to do that, then this just becomes magic to them.
Sure.
Right. And our my mantra here is AI is not magic, right?
Yeah.
Magic is mysterious and uncontrollable, and AI is neither of those things. And so we need teachers and leaders who are able to help kids understand what AI really is and what it isn't, and what happens when you feed it different data sets, what it means, when you should be putting faith in their decisions from AI, when it would be irresponsible not to make a decision, to hand a decision off to AI because of our own bias, right? Those are all of the things that we need to be talking about. And I would, add on top of that if we have to think about some things like, what does it even mean to be something that we create, right? If we, many of us flew on an airplane to get here, right? Does that mean that we didn't actually come here because the airplane took us and we didn't walk, right? Like, how much of the tool can we use and still consider it our unique creative work, right? Those are all the questions that we need to be talking with our students about.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thanks for hanging out with us. Hope you have a good day.
It's great to be here. Thanks for hosting this chat. We'll see you.
See ya.
Thanks.
All right, Josh, you walked away for half a second. I saw Don walking by. Eric, the intern, and I hung out with Don Ringelestein. Met him in Austin last CoSN Conference. And Don, you are back. You were kind of a new guy, I think, last year, but you have matured since the last time I've seen you. How's it going?
Well, I know more about being on the board of directors and running this conference. So it's we do a lot to prepare and do those sorts of things. So it's really good to see all the people that have turned out. So, we're happy with our attendance this year.
Would you remind me again, do you work for a school district?
I do. I work for Yorkville School District 115. It's in the far west suburbs of Chicago.
Okay. And then you've been a part of CoSN. You've been a CoSN member for many years.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I've also been on the state chapter of CoSN for a while, too. We founded back in, I want to say it was 2012, and I've been on the board of directors since then, and I'm terming off this year.
Okay.
So, yeah.
And then you've been serving on the big board since last year.
I have. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So in those years that you've been with CoSN, what have you seen change in just the short couple of years that you've been on the higher end of the board?
Well, it's obviously AI. I mean, that's been a big thing, and it's obviously a big part of what we're doing here. And I'm not sure, we saw a statistic yesterday that 60% of the schools don't have anything in place for AI right now. So we've got a lot of work to do, but we also have to make sure that we're doing it intentionally. So CoSN's got a AI dashboard, more or less, that we work with, that we provided to the membership to help them wrap their minds around it. So it's a great thing. We launched it at the conference this year, and I'm very pleased with it.
Good feedback so far on it.
Oh, yeah. And we had some really, really solid people from the Council of Great City Schools. Tom Ryan was involved in it, who got the Lifetime Achievement Award yesterday. And it's a very good tool for districts that don't have anything going just yet.
Interesting. I saw yesterday in that post from CoSN that Tom actually has his doctorate. I didn't realize that. I'm going to start calling him Dr. Ryan, like the clear and present danger, Dr. Ryan. Like that's what I picture now when I think of Tom. I'm going to think of Dr. Ryan from Clear and Present Danger.
When I think of Tom, he used to, when he was on the board, he had this kind of like Viking hat. So I always picture Tom wearing that hat. It's he's a great guy.
All right. What are you looking forward to the most here at the conference this year?
So, again, we had a great general session with Susan Enfield yesterday. I'm looking forward to some sessions today. Really, I've been working hard on DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. So I'm presenting on that tomorrow. Sat in on the women's breakfast yesterday, and I think we've done some great work in CoSN on DEI, and I've served on that subcommittee, and I will continue on that subcommittee next year. But we've I think done some great work on that, and want to make sure that we continue that, and I continue to want to be a partner in that.
Good. And some of the negative connotation with that hopefully can go to the wayside and not be an issue.
Yeah, well, and the way I think it's not about wokeness. It's not about, being woke or anything like that. It's about, we've got half our population or more are women. It's our duty to make sure that women are treated with respect. Women are considered for higher positions. And as a man, it's my job to be an ally and really to mentor. The studies show that women do a lot. They rise higher in the workplace. They get paid more when they have male mentors. So that's something that I'm working on as well.
All right. Well, definitely an important topic that I don't think is going anywhere, hopefully anytime soon. So, but yeah, good to have some work in that space.
Absolutely.
Well, Don, thanks for sitting down with us. Hopefully we're not keeping you from a session. You can go find Tom and give him some trouble about.
I will. Yeah. The Viking. Yeah. He's great.
I want to see a picture of that.
Yeah.
I know we've got internal pictures, but there might be some that are public facing.
We need to find
and
those.
We should make it public facing.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm thinking about a photo, Don in a Viking helmet, or Tom in a Viking helmet.
With Mark on a buffalo?
Well, that or on the submarine from Clear and Present Danger. Yeah. I mean, that's...
I like it.
With Sean Connery. Yeah.
I don't hate it.
Yeah. All right, Don, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you for having me on.
Yep.
All righty.
We do want to take a second to thank our sponsors for letting us come to CoSN and make this trip possible. A4L, their summit is coming up, and we get to go to that. That's in D.C. The A4L summit is April 30th through May 2nd. Check out A4L.org to learn more about that. If you don't know about A4L, they want to support lifelong learning through interoperability, privacy, and security access, basically from preschool, all the way to death, retirement, which is before death. So check out A4L, hang out with us at that summit. We also want to thank NTP for being our diamond partner. The K12 Tech Pro meetups that we're doing across the nation, that is happening because of NTP. We want to thank ClassLink. They're over here at CoSN. I'm actually wearing a ClassLink lanyard right now. We want to thank Howard. They have this little saying, Howard, we do it. Seth Shockley is the rep out of Missouri that you can hang out with, that you can talk to. And if you're listening across the nation, you can still reach out to Seth. It's sshockley@howard.com. They pride themselves on being a one-stop shop. They can help you with your technology needs, and they can sell you Newline in particular, Newline Interactive, TSN Digital Signage, HP Poly, all good partners with Howard. Check them out for pricing. We want to thank Extreme Networks as well. If you need some extreme switching, reach out to dmayer at extreme.com for them. And finally, Fortinet. On April 18th, they have a webinar coming up talking about connecting the nation, the FCC's vision for broadband, cybersecurity, and digital inclusion. I'll put a registration link for that Fortinet webinar in this podcast description. It's been a great time at CoSN 2024, leading for innovation at warp speed. Again, thanks to our sponsors for making this happen. All right, Josh. So important news, but it's pretty funny. Mark just got here, but instead of us really talking to him at all, we brought in Megan to the hot seat.
Yeah, we're letting Megan sit down. And
Mark, go find yourself some coffee, okay? Megan, how's it going?
It's going great. Thanks for having me, guys. I'm excited to be on here and get to talk about CoSN.
So you came down, you attended yesterday's sessions. You came down early because you are Missouri's representative in CoSN, right?
I am the state chair for the state of Missouri.
It's pretty big deal.
So I came down a few days early to represent the Metal Board, which is Missouri's arm of CoSN, and do some state chapter stuff, and then attend some other stuff as well.
All right, that's our live crowd here. So what? Your Twitter account yesterday, you were pumped up.
X account,
whatever.
It's still Twitter.
You were pumped up about the session that you were in yesterday. Tell us a little bit about that.
So yesterday we had a Women in Tech breakfast that was hosted by the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. I'm not sure exactly. It was a great committee with CoSN that hosted that breakfast. Dr. Ivy Nelson was the host. She is from Missouri as well. And so she just got her doctorate and was talking to us about all of her research that was focused on women in tech.
Interesting. What were some of the key takeaways? I saw that you're going to take some things back. What were some of those things?
She just had some really good information about kind of the struggles that women face in technology in the field in general.
Sure.
And gave us a really great opportunity to sit down with other women from all across the country and talk about that. And she also had a lot of great information about how, while as women, we experience issues, but women of color are also experiencing those issues even to a greater extent. And there's still just a lot of work to be done.
You know, it makes sense because I've been in tech for over 20 years and guys can be kind of not mean to each other, but have that off-putting personality and say, you know, I can say some mean things to you.
Yeah, you're mean.
I know. So I can absolutely see from a woman's perspective where that is not the most welcoming environment to kind of step into and number one, feel like you have to prove yourself.
Right.
That you know what you're talking about and that you're able to do these things that we do. So yeah, it's interesting to kind of how to open that door and be more welcoming and inclusive.
Well, and there's still just a lot of, Ivy's word for it was microaggressions. Where
sure.
I've had this happen in my district that I'm assumed I'm our tech director's assistant.
Oh, wow.
That one of our principals said that. And I was like, actually, no. And then I know for women of color, they feel like they are representing women, they're representing their race, and they have this feeling that they have to be perfect.
Sure.
That they are not allowed to make mistakes. And so you're combating that, but then you're also combating the assumptions that I don't know what I'm talking about just because I am a woman or because I have an educational background, not a technical background.
Right. We give Mark trouble for having an educational background.
There's a difference. Like we can bash on you for being a former teacher or
right.
whatever. Or
I would
expect that you
it.
do, right? That's still okay.
Like
right?
There's going to be an asterisk on this episode and say she was a teacher.
That has nothing to do with you being a woman. That is just you have. Yeah, ed tech stuff is still wide open.
Right.
Okay.
Right?
All right. Write your letters, K12TechTalk@gmail.com. Address them to Chris. I'll take the Microsoft hate. Chris can take the EdTech hate.
It's I make fun of myself because I still don't know ed tech
Just
stuff.
kidding.
So we're in Miami.
Yes.
Have you done anything fun that you can tell the story of?
So I got quote unquote adopted by some young girls I met at the pool that were like 25 years old engineers.
Oh, wow.
And they were just so excited and wanted to talk about women in tech and STEM stuff.
Wow. Are
And
they here at the conference? Or
No,
Oh, wow.
they are not associated with it at all. But so we went out Saturday night and I'm like, I am wearing my coolest old lady outfit. I got on my practical white sneakers. I have on jeans. I have a cute little top. They come downstairs looking fantastic in some go-go boots and mini skirts and tube tops. And I go, you know what, ladies, you look awesome. I'm just going to walk in last because we're not getting anywhere with me leading the pack.
You could have played the card of like your mom along with them.
Right.
I'm like, yeah.
I am sure that's what people thought, that I was their mom.
So you went clubbing? Like,
We-
what did you?
so
With 25-year-olds.
So we went to a restaurant, a nice sushi restaurant, and
you
then
can find me in the club.
and then we hit a couple bars, and I was like, okay, the music's really loud. And the drinks were really expensive.
Yeah.
And this is not my target demographic to get somebody to buy me a drink. I am going to strike out all night long.
So where were they from? What were they? Were they just here on a trip and you found them?
So they work with a company, and they had met each other through this company, and they like to travel, and the company has offices in every single state.
Oh,
And so they can just go work remote at their
Wow.
other offices. So they just kind of were like, oh yeah, and we just want to work in Miami for the week. Because why not?
wow.
I was like, that sounds cool.
I like that.
All right. Well,
I can go work across the campus, you
Yeah,
know, and
sure.
sit and watch kindergartners eat lunch.
Like a
That's-
picnic table
help
outside.
open
Right.
milk cartons. Yeah, and Lunchables. All right. Well, if you go to the Madonna concert tonight, you'll have to let us know. Madonna's in town.
No, that is not.
Oh, we're Chris sang, what did you sing earlier?
Life is a
Yeah, we're gonna
story.
when Mark sits
I am
down,
not singing.
we're singing Like a Virgin.
I love it.
Okay.
That's very fitting.
When you call my name.
No, so I think there's a vendor event tonight that they're not a sponsor, so I won't say who it is.
Okay.
So there's that, and then just enjoying the day and getting to learn a lot more.
And
AI?
hitting South Beach.
AI is a thing here.
Yeah.
I guess maybe people are interested in AI.
It's new. It's new. All right, Megan. Well, thanks for sitting down with us.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
All right. We'll see you around. Thanks.
Mark is in the house.
He finally made it. You got to eat the microphone, Mark.
Okay,
There you go.
Straight from New England.
that's right.
How was the eclipse?
Beautiful.
We watched it on Zoom here.
Oh, yeah, not
I-
the same.
I flew through it
You flew through it.
and then flew through a thunderstorm. It was great.
Um,
Yeah. My anxiety was awesome.
You were you laid on a blanket.
we found a
Stared at the
field
sun?
way up in
Herbal tea?
northern Vermont. Field,
Oh,
like
Vermont. I thought it was Connecticut.
yeah, way up, way up, and then got in the car as fast as possible and sat in traffic for a few
Yeah.
hours and got a couple hours of sleep and got on a plane and I'm here.
Now, we need to talk about what you just bragged about.
Oh yeah, they changed my flight or my seat. I got upgraded to first class.
Chris is going to
They knew
get
who
a-
I was.
It was a free upgrade, right?
I was going to
Yeah.
say, Chris is going to get a bill
Oh.
for that.
That look on Chris's face was so angry.
I was just checking.
he was legitimately concerned that
Well,
I'm
Mark,
saying-
you got here a little bit late. This is the final interview. It's just you.
Yeah. Thanks
Oh,
for coming, everybody.
Okay.
Just kidding. We're just getting started.
Okay.
Mark, you've been to CoSN before.
Yeah.
You've been a CoSN member for a long time.
Yum.
Tell us about it.
It's a great organization. There's wonderful people from all walks of life. They come from all around the country. It's definitely a little bit more tech focused. So if you're a K12 Tech listener, this is probably your bread and butter to come to this kind of conference. There's definitely some instruction, right? It's a mixture of tech and instruction, but kind of leans in comparison to some of their conferences, leans more towards on the tech side.
Chris and I were talking about that earlier. This is, I feel policy heavy from a tech side of things. There are some tech discussions going on. There was a one-to-one session earlier, but yeah, if you're in tech leadership, this is definitely the conference for you to come to because it's policy procedure, it's trends from advocacy standpoint, from both with the Department of Ed and at a federal level down to the state level from the state chapters. It's definitely a good place to come to and make connections, because Mark walks in the room and like everybody, it's like, it will be like Madonna tonight at the stage at the Kaseya Center.
Like a virgin.
Yes. We didn't tell you this, but since Madonna is in town tonight, we are doing our best renditions of her hits.
She's in town.
Yes, at the place next to me. So that's the joke with Chris. He and Eric went to that concert in Austin.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
So he is buying us 8 tickets tonight, because he has to buy twice, because that's what they did in Austin.
That's
he
what
has
they
to
do.
keep it
Okay.
fair.
I gave Eric my credit card, and then he bought concert tickets to the night before.
Got it.
But
Got
all of that to say, it is now your turn to sing a Madonna song.
The floor is yours.
It helps.
Do you know any Madonna songs?
Well, you just took the one that
Like a Virgin.
Yeah.
That's the one that came to my mind.
Like
What-
a prayer?
Oh, yeah, that one.
but yeah, good one, Mark. Okay.
Like a prayer.
Anyway, Mark, we're glad that you're here.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
All right. We'll be back in a second. All right. So with us, we have Will, who I sat in. Will was on like a panel discussion this morning about after action reports. And actually, I took a whole page of notes. You know, on the podcast, we've talked to several districts, Chris, about incidents that have taken place in districts, you know, everything from ransomware to account takeover, stuff like that. But very rarely have we actually had an in-depth discussion about after action. Oh, I think I've got you muted. Sorry, go ahead.
Right.
So it was interesting to sit in the session that you were in, Will, about after action reports and incidents. And I don't necessarily want you to go into a whole lot of detail about your district or if your district had an incident, but kind of explain what an after action report is.
Okay. After action report, after action review, I just call them AARs. Okay.
Sure.
And basically we just gather up everybody who was involved in the incident. I made the mention down there, if a janitor was involved, he's in the room. Okay. Usually their supervisors come in there and we walk through what happened. We acknowledge the good things, but we also acknowledge where we have growth, and we really use it as an opportunity. Don't throw away this event to make us better.
Yeah.
So absolutely.
One of the things, I think you even said it, was there's no blame going on, but you are, if there is a statement of fact that is a negative, it needs to be said.
Absolutely.
There's not blame associated with it on an individual, but you need to get the facts out in the environment or in the report.
Because if you ignore the facts, you can't correct the facts. Okay.
Right.
If I'm going to tiptoe around an employee or a peer or a community member
Or a system.
then I'm not doing the service to my school district, to myself, to the stakeholders, or to the public.
Sure. So when you go in and you get ready to kick off an action, a review, what are some of the most important things that schools should be doing during an incident? Like the thing that kept coming up in discussion today was note taking. What are some of the things that you guys rely on in an after action review that you need to formulate your response or formulate the report?
Well, note taking really helps out by focusing on some of the minutia that might be doing things I've done and stuff like that. That's really should be really focused early on during the event, is really kind of shorthand. Just what am I doing so I can come back and write a report later. But during the action plan, it's just really to find out what happened, what you did, what the others have done, what's the response and such. What was the other part of your question?
What any other tools or any other information that during the incident that you need in the after action report or to complete the after action?
We don't stop during the action and do formal tools and stuff. We come back, and really the key is you got to put that after action, at least the first one. If you're going to have multiple ones, if you figure you need more, you want that one really close. I said within a week of at least a partial resolution, so that everything's fresh in your mind.
Sure.
And so that you can capture that in a more formal setting, have people ask questions back and forth, because sometimes some things that we don't think are important, another department or another staff member will ask us a question, and that just adds to the color of what's happened.
The whole picture.
Yeah.
So From a district's perspective that's never either had an incident or never had to perform a review like this, how do you even get started in the review?
There's some spread. We have like a little template that basically just set up rules. It's basically, hey, we're coming in here. This is what we're doing. We're going to set the table. There is no blame. There are statements of fact. We'll work together. No one's getting fired out of this. This thing. We're just going to work through it and we're going to learn, because that's what we should be doing, is learning what's happened and what we can do to prevent it again and make the best of our resources.
So the goal is almost like a root cause analysis of the incident.
Absolutely.
So that could point to a system failure. It could point to a misconfiguration.
Yes.
It could point to an employee doing something malicious.
Right. But you have that root cause.
Sure.
But you also may detect needs that are ancillary to the problem that also need to be addressed. We had one that we had an incident where, I'm trying to be as vague as I can.
Sure.
But we had an administrator who was not in the office, but was somewhere else in the school, and they couldn't hear announcements from the office. And then when we started working through that, it's because of the speaker system. They were allowing staff members who usually are in that room to ask for that speaker to be turned down. So that during that after action review, they said, well, you know what? I'm going to walk through my building and I want a sound level of every single single room, so that I know. And then they put in place, you know what? We're going to control sound levels here in the office.
Oh, interesting.
Because even though that wasn't the primary,
right,
it came out and they're better for it.
So I think that's an important point too. Chris, we've been focused on cyber incidents for our interviews that we've done. Will, you're saying, and it makes complete sense, and I don't know why I didn't think of it before, but these reviews can be for any sort of incident.
Any incident that you think elevates to the point where you can learn from it. Absolutely. And usually our threshold is a multi-departmental incident. So if you bring in more than one or two departments into it, why not talk about it?
Interesting. So even from a workflow standpoint, if it's touching more than one department.
I love it. I can think I've been focused in on my incident response plan.
Yeah.
My last step is like running the backups.
Right.
And like giving each other high fives. Well, there needs to be a couple more steps.
Right.
And even to put in the incident response plan about note taking, about, recognizing what's going on while it's happening, to actually document that you're going to do that so that you can do some great follow-up after.
Right.
To learn and glean from it so it doesn't happen again.
One of the conferences I was at made a point that the notes that you're taking will likely be requested by your attorneys anyway, and by any sort of incident recovery team that's coming in, because they're going to want to know the changes you've made since the incident, to kind of roll back and see what things have been addressed already, what's changed in the environment since this took place. Right. So, yeah.
And honestly, let's draw this out too. In IT governance, we are very slow on an uptake to build out our procedures, our policies and stuff like that. Those notes become a study guide or a crib sheet or something that you can now use as a seed to build those documents if you don't have them.
I was just thinking, because when it actually plays out and you have step 1 through 10, and when it played out, it could have been that you went to step 3 and you didn't really need step 2. Like if you talk about that, you could clean up your plan and have a better course of action later.
And be faster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. And I've not really, we were talking before after he like literally showed up and then he went to your session. I was just sitting here by myself.
That's the truth. Yeah.
But he came back with good stuff.
Yeah.
Right. Because again, I think we do a whole lot of focus on the incident and even the before the incident.
Mm-hmm.
But this is kind of new conversation, I know, for me on the after the incident.
Right.
Well, yeah. Don't throw away that data. Don't throw away that experience. But a lot of times we are just looking so far ahead. We don't want to go look back and learn. And sometimes that's a struggle because you feel like that's not efficient, but
Well, and I think for some people it's a struggle because that's pointing out a deficiency somewhere. And I'll be the first to admit, I take comments about my network and my infrastructure very personally.
Mm-hmm.
And in an after action review, it's likely going to be uncomfortable. Just plain and simple. If you're doing an after action review, it's because something bad happened.
Correct.
And you need to get to the bottom of it. And there might be uncomfortable things come to light. And that's okay. That's okay. Something else that you guys mentioned this morning was around information sharing and how sometimes that can be difficult due to lawyers and, because everybody loves lawyers. But something you guys said that I haven't heard said before was, yes, we should be able to share incident information like this. If I'm hit with a phishing attack or a ransomware incident, I should be able to share that information with Chris. But more importantly, we need to be sharing the current attack vectors that we're seeing. Like if my firewall's getting nailed with external VPN requests with bad credential stuffing attack, I should be sharing that as much as I should be sharing or want to share a ransomware incident information. That I hadn't heard that said before in a group like that until this morning, and I thought that was pretty cool.
Well, yeah, let's gather our peers. Let's know who has what, and if I'm sitting here on a Palo Alto, and you're also a Palo Alto, and I'm seeing this traffic, and you know what, we share the same vendor. Most likely, our configurations may be very close to the same.
Sure.
Okay, and so why wouldn't I give you a heads up?
Yeah.
It's the same as a neighborhood watch, if you really think about it.
Exactly. You know what? That's a really good slogan. The neighborhood watch for K12 Tech.
We're going to take that from you.
Oh, you know what? I got to tell you right now.
Let's cut this guy off. Will, you're out of here.
If you've stolen it from me, it's been stolen twice.
Okay.
All right. Well, we thank you for your time. We hope you're enjoying it here at CoSN, and hopefully you'll get some downtime.
All right. Thank you very much for your time.
Bye.
The views and opinions expressed on the K12 Tech Talk podcast are the personal opinions of Josh, Chris, and Mark, and do not represent the views or opinions of our sponsors or other organizations that we're affiliated with. The material and information presented here is for general information and entertainment purposes only. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week.